for whatever odd reason, I cut this last night, and I mean, you can see what I did. Completely messed it up, and I was just crying. So this happens, so I figured, why not tell you about how I fixed it. So when this happens to you, you can fix it as well. So you can see that there are some white pieces on the fabric, and this is interfacing. Interfacing is used to make fabric sturdier. You iron it on, and it's kind of like a glue. So you can see the beautiful cut here. I'm not going to use all of this fabric anyway. I'm not going to need these 2 extra inches on each side for the actual cushion, but I do need it there to sew it right and to have enough to finish it up. From the other side, I did a full rectangle, but from this side, I just wanted to cover. So I had some odd sizes and cuts, so I used it. Why not? Why waste it? This is nice, punched really tightly, but not overly so. So I don't think these are gonna come out unless a cat comes and, you know, grabs on it. If you do want to secure this, you can actually use interfacing, which looks like this, and you can iron it on. I will do that not only to protect this, but also when I'm gonna sew, it'll actually help, and it'll sew a little bit more easier, because monk's cloth on its own tends to slip too much and move in the sewing machine. So I do have a special foot on the sewing machine that I will show you. This adorable fabric, it is on the thinner side. So what I'll do is I will also iron the interfacing on. The interfacing I used is the Pellin 950F. Before I put the interfacing on, I'm going to cut this fabric. We're gonna make an envelope back cover. So basically you'll have one side, and then you'll have an overlap. And this is how you're gonna open it to take the cushion insert out and put it back in. I'm going to cut 2 15-inch high pieces. The interfacing is applied, and now we're going to fold these edges so we can sew them. These are going to be part of that flap of that envelope. So what you want to do is do this on top of one piece and then do it on the bottom of the other piece. I folded about 1/3 of an inch, and I folded it twice. I'm going to show you how to do this on this piece. So I've used something called magic clips instead of straight pins. These hold fabric really well. Okay, now I'm going to set my machine to a regular straight stitch. I have white thread in it already. And now I'm just going to sew the envelope part of this. Now we have a really nice edge going. Now I'll do the same for the second piece. I have now applied interfacing to the whole piece, and you can tell it's much flatter. So what I'm going to do is lay them on the fabric. And I want these two to be aligned on the sides. I'm going to move them to the sides a little bit so they're fine. I have enough overlap on every side, and the actual envelope overlap is pretty big. So we want to make sure these are face down. The pattern is in the right direction. The rooster is in the right direction compared to the fabric. My gosh, I'm scared to sew and cut anything at this point, to be honest. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to use the magic clips again. One thing to think about when you're making a cushion cover is that, you know, the punched part is pretty thick, so you want to have enough overlap of the fabric so it kind of goes over the edge of that. And what I'm going to do to make sure that this is even, I'm going to use the magic clips on this side now just to keep it straight. And now I'm going to do this side. Now that the fabric is even the way I want it to be. Back here, back here. All right, let's sew. Okay, so I have installed what's called a walking foot. For Singer, it's called an even feet foot. This is mostly used for quilting, or if you're trying to align certain patterns together, or for sewing thicker fabrics, which this is. I tried making cushion with the regular fit, and it just kept slipping and moving, and there was a ton of bunching. When sewing, I will be sewing in the punching because I don't want the fabric to be showing once I flip this over. I just want the punched part to show. So I'm gonna load this, and the direction I'm sewing this way instead of this way because I don't want to go against this flap and then move or something. I'm sewing into like the first or second row. I'm gonna put the needle in. This walking foot, what it does is it moves the top fabric at the same rate as the bottom fabric, and it's a little bit more flexible. So you'll notice it's kind of going to be jumping in a way. That's completely normal. So let's start. I can turn on my sewing machine. That would be great. I'm so nervous. Okay, let's do this. Love it. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm just literally holding it and holding it up so it actually has an easier way of moving forward. Okay, as you're coming to the edge, you want to stop with your needle in. So you just simply turn the fabric around in the next direction instead of taking it out and put it in and all that. So I'm gonna sew slowly. That's about, I would say, my first row. And then I'm going to turn it, set the foot down again, and just kind of line it up correctly. Oh my gosh, this sews like a dream, you guys. Home stretch. Okay, at the end of sewing, it's a really good thing to have the needle go backwards and forward a couple times just to kind of secure the stitching. So I'm going to do that slowly. And I usually go back once and then go forward, and that's fine. And then a couple more stitches. God, I love this walker foot. Where have you been all my life? Okay. Now we can take all the clips off. perfect. I don't think I've ever sewn anything that looked this great. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the leftover fabric. I don't have to worry about the fabric coming apart because there's interfacing on all of it. So I'm going to leave about an inch. Okay, now that I completely fearfully cut this fabric after my previous experience, I am setting my machine to zigzag stitch, and we're just going to zigzag all around just to keep it together and secure. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to stay a little bit more in because of the walking foot. It needs something to grab. There we go. Okay, we're back at the beginning. So what I'll do is I'll go back and forth a little bit here. All right, it is time for the big reveal. So now we're just going to turn this over. The edges, if you're really particular, you can grab a stick, like a chopstick or something, to poke them through. I don't think that's necessary. I think fingers will do just fine. It's starting out good. This is really cute. All right, let's see. Yay! Here is the cushion cover. So I want it to be a little chunkier. So even though this is 16 by 16, I want to try to fit an 18-inch inside. It worked. It totally worked. And it is thick and chunky, but not too thick, I don't think. And you can see how it's pulling on the envelope a little bit, but nothing major. You guys, so exciting. Please send me pictures of what you'll make.